that said, dog, Kim Caldwell's it.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I am with you.
Look, losses are losses. There's no moral victories in this game. You're 3-5 in the SEC. You've lost a litany of heartbreaking ways, one after the other, whether it's like Vanderbilt, fucking LSU. You get within 9 here and then you lose. Like, I understand Tennessee fans being like, I can't do much more of this. But, man, in year one, and you don't have the talent on the other side of the floor, and, like, here's the thing about those fourth quarter comebacks. Yes, there's some shooting progression to mean that occurs there. Bro, that's a coach that is scheming you into places. I watched a team tonight not be able to hit the broad side of a barn from 3, which is their bread and butter. At one point, they're 2 of 20, like the Sabrina special in game 5. I had to get that out of the way because I hear Shawnee in my head like the goblin mask, getting ready to talk for shit.
Yeah.
But like at one point they're like 2 of 21, 2 of 22.
Yeah. I mean they end 3 of 26. Like
and here's how I know. Here's how I know that you're in the mental rut. 3 seconds left, you're on the breakaway in the third quarter here. Ruby Whitehorn, instead of passing the ball forward or just pulling up for 3, which is what this team is designed to do, she tries to get the extra steps in to get the easy lay-in, and the basket doesn't count. To me, that was like, ooh, they got a mental rut where they don't think they can hit these. And for a coach to know that, to recognize that and go, okay, fine, fuck it. Off the 3 line, pace, defense, easy layups. That's our go. That's what we're going to do, and take advantage of the bad fouls and the turnovers and some of the lazy defense and some of the things that I'm sure Don Staley is looking at the film being like, we can play better than that. But this style of play is the only way of play I know, absent having 10 McDonald's All-Americans on the other side of the floor. And that's not a slight to Don Staley. Like, you recruit who you can recruit. You got the talent, you play with the talent. Like, everybody else has to get their money up if they want to get 10 McDonald's All-Americans on the floor too. But if you have 10 McDonald's All-Americans on the floor, or they do and you don't, you can't win the way they play. You got to do something else. And we saw it when Iowa won in 2023. South Carolina didn't have shooters and Iowa had shooters and they won the game. And Don went, I bet, and went out and got shooters.
Right.
But right now, what we're seeing with Tennessee is shooters plus pace. And it's not Rockets ball. It's not ISO bullshit 3-point ball. Like, there's a ton of movement happening in that offense, man. And they run and they platoon sub and they wear your ass out just by getting you tired. And you will live by the 3 and die by the 3 in this system. Kim Caldwell, I have no doubt, is going to win a lot of huge games. Disclaimer, she's going to lose a lot of them too, just because of the nature of this offense. But seeing her ability to coach and scheme and adjust in game, and even grabbing Zay Spearman, who wasn't shooting particularly well, and just watching her kind of big upper, right? It looked exactly the same way Donna was on the other side of the floor, letting Mylasia Fulwiley play through mistakes and being like, yo, it's good. It's good. Don't worry about that bullshit foul. Like, it's all right. And that, to me, I'm like, ooh, we might have we might have a rivalry where one team actually beats the other here, and I'm not rooting on SC's downfall and rooting on SC losses. I want competitive ball. I want rivalries again. And to watch Kim Caldwell in year one get this close to a lot of really good, really proven teams, dude, she just feels like she might have it. And I know that it doesn't feel that way for Tennessee fans now because you have a standard, and the standard is the standard, and you want to see immediate results. But I mean, outside of Vanderbilt, these are top. I mean, even Vandy right now is a top 25 team that took years to build.
Every loss is ranked.
Yeah, like, it's coming. I'm really, really impressed with Tennessee, just in the sense of what Kim is able to do in terms of getting them in the right directions late here. There's growing pains to build out, also players got to make shots. You can't coach around 3 of 26 from 3. Like, it's and yes, some of that South Carolina playing great perimeter defense. I watched a lot of really open threes miss tonight. Like, even a progression to the mean there, where you hit 10 of 26, this game is probably within a possession through most of the matchup, right?
Yeah.
So there's components here that she's not going to be able to control, and that is just kind of the nature of the offense that she has decided to kind of make her hallmark. Dude, I'm Kool-Aid drinking.
Me too. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Dog. And again, no slight to South Carolina. Like, that is the team to beat, the program of the moment. But pew, I don't think. Let me be clear. I don't think Tennessee is like coming for the belt anytime soon.
No.
But Tennessee as a competitive SEC contender every year, that might come sooner than we think.
Yeah. I mean, look, we talked to Kim Caldwell in the lead up to the season. We had her on, and I know we talked a lot about the pace on the offensive end, and like rightfully so in that way. But again, the defense that has come this season, it was something that frankly like just wasn't as I looked at this higher, as I looked at okay, like what is the style of play before we actually saw it on the court. The defense, frankly, I wasn't thinking about it. Like just transparently, I was like, okay, this is what the offense is going to look like. And I didn't even like in my head when I'm previewing it in my brain, what it's going to look like. I'm not thinking about the defense.
Yep.
And to be able to, you mentioned like the Harden Rockets, and I think the curse of these teams that play with this style of offense is the inability to pivot. And tonight we saw a pivot, and that completely puts the potential to me that the ceiling raise of that, because in March, if you're missing shots, you're missing shots, and you got you one off night, and you could be done.
Yep.
But the ability to pivot and even not even necessarily pivot, because I think there's an emphasis pretty much at all times with Tennessee on the defensive side of the ball right now. And to have that emphasis be maintained while also you're still doing what you're doing on the offensive end. But to see that on the defensive end and the way that they're forcing turnovers every single game, that is what's most encouraging to me. Because you got 3 McDonald's All-Americans on the way. You're Tennessee. You can make something shake in the portal.
Yeah, you can get people.
You can recruit through the portal, through high school. Like the players that have been on visits for Tennessee this season. Like, of course, everyone's going on visits, so like you can't put too much into that. But like everything you're seeing, like I've been seeing on social media when it comes to the recruiting visits and everything has come off very, very positive. And like this is a program. This is a sleeping giant, frankly. We talk. You mentioned the Tennessee standard. The standard hasn't been there for a minute, frankly.
Yeah.
Like it's been a minute. So even though you take these losses right now, you're taking these lumps. And the quote where she had like, either we're not good enough or we don't care when it comes to the close losses. I'm like, I'm moved. Like that's a quote I'm trying to hear. If I'm a Tennessee fan, no, like obviously you care about it. I don't want to minimize the losses because obviously 3-5 in conference play is not good. Like I don't want to minimize that. But if that is what my coach is saying, I'm trusting the process here.
Yeah.
And I feel like the results that you're getting just like on the court, like if you like and what you're seeing and the almost kind of the skeleton of what can be a resurgence for Tennessee. I feel like you gotta love it. Like I am completely moved in a way that frankly I wasn't really expecting in year one. Not in this way. Like maybe some flashes and everything, but like these aren't players that she recruited for this style. And she won't tell you that because she's like, these are my players. We're not worried about next year. We're worried about right now, which is another quote I love. Like she's killing the press conference game if nothing else. Like the quotables are there. But realistically, these aren't her players in that way. This is not the style that she recruited for. Some of the players coming in this next class are going to be able to play this style. I don't know how immediate that'll be and everything, but like it's here. Like the skeleton of what can be great success again for Tennessee is here with Kim Caldwell. And, and I again, the losses are the losses, and to your point, there's no moral victories, but at least it feels like there's a bit of a direction. Because even though Tennessee would maybe win some of these games in past years, whatever, it never. Where was the level up in that way? Like again, it never felt it kind of never felt like there was the level up was incoming. It feels like there's a level up very much in the next year to 2 to 3. I feel like there's a tier level up on the way for Tennessee because I just don't feel like this system is too hard of a sell. Because if you're a young player, you're going to be getting some minutes because the way that you sub. If you're an older player, you're going to be able to shoot and have the freedom and to D up if that's your thing. Like I feel like there's something for everybody. And then that's not even getting into the fact that this is Tennessee that you're talking about. I feel like the success is on the horizon.
Well, and with the Kelly Harper teams too, and not to say that there's never going to be losses that you should have won on the schedule, right? But for the most part, this team has beaten the teams they should be beating. And the other issue with the Harper teams, when it came to games against teams like South Carolina, especially in the regular season, BTA, it was a lot of belt to ass courtesy of Don Staley. And so for year one to have this be competitive in the way it is, as you said, a good mark for the future. And I say this as a media guy, right? So I can understand how fans can kind of groan at like the type of reaction to it. Look, women's basketball right now needs its brands, like we're in a moment as a sport. And as a sport, I think everybody that is historically good continuing to be good, we need that because we need all of the high level matchups, all of the juice. We need all that stuff, man. Like Caitlin Clark and Iowa was a perfect match because, I think people miss the fact that like there really has never been a Big Ten star as big as her, but Iowa has literal decades, almost an entire century of background in support for women's basketball as a state. USC is a historic basketball brand. Texas is a historic basketball brand. Ditto UConn. Ditto Tennessee. South Carolina has come in the last decade and a half and has turned into one of the premier brands in the sport, right? And so we need all of them being good right now because that's how you capitalize on the momentum that's been built. The last bridge I'll have for you, because I know we're about to go into WNBA stuff. If you are an LA Sparks fan and you're watching Kim Caldwell, it should make you feel good about Lynn Roberts.
Ooh,
because as somebody who has covered Lynn Roberts at Utah for a long time, you talk about that ability to pivot. Lynn has that ability to pivot. We saw that a lot with the Alyssa Peely teams, right? Because, Peely could shoot from three. That wasn't where she wanted to be all the time, though. And when stuff got clogged on the perimeter and, Jenna Johnson or Jana Neepkins or Kennedy McQueen can't get that shot, they were very resolved to changing what they needed to do, to going inside, to playing mucky ball. Jana Neepkins, not really a 3-point specialist. Like she makes her hay inside. And Lynn was able to win a lot of games doing the type of shit that Kim Caldwell has shown that she has the capability to do this year. And so I know a lot of people are freaked out about that quote in the press conference about, 3 is more than 2, but Lynn and Kim share a lot of similarities from a schematic end. At least I think so. And I say that in terms of like their ability to adjust in game and not get married to the 3 philosophy. If the 3 is not working, they will find a way to try and win in game. And so if you're a Sparks fan, you should feel pretty good about that, especially now with Kelsey Plum, who can score at all 3 levels too.